know how sometimes the people you love most can start to feel like strangers? Maybe it's the way they look at you a little too long, or the way they smile just slightly wrong. We all tell ourselves it's nothing, that they're just tired, distracted, stressed, because it's easier to believe that, right? But what if it isn't? What if one night you wake up and the person lying beside you, the person you've built your life with, looks at you with empty eyes and says, "I'm waiting for the real you." Tonight's story isn't about ghosts. It's not about demons or monsters hiding under your bed. It's about something far more terrifying, the slow, quiet horror of realizing that maybe the person you love isn't who you think they are. So sit back, turn off the lights, and whatever you do, don't look too long into the mirror. The real you. You know how sometimes the people you love most start to feel like strangers? Maybe it's the way they look at you a little too long, or the way they smile just slightly wrong. We all tell ourselves it's nothing, that they're just tired, distracted, maybe stressed, because believing that is easier than the alternative, that maybe they're not who we think they are. My name doesn't matter. What matters is my wife, Laura. She's always been my rock. Grounded, patient, the kind of person who holds life together when everything else starts to fall apart. We've been married for 6 years. Our life has been normal, boring even in the best possible way. A small house in the suburbs, steady jobs, and a comfortable routine. Nothing strange, nothing out of place. At least, not until a few weeks ago. It started small. Little things that didn't feel like much at first. Like one night, we were sitting on the couch watching TV, some sitcom we've both seen 100 times. There was a joke she always laughed at. Always. But that night, she didn't. When I looked over, she was staring at the screen, eyes unfocused, her face completely blank. It was like she wasn't there. I nudged her. She blinked like snapping out of a trance and smiled awkwardly. "Sorry," she said. "I was just tired." I brushed it off. Everyone zones out sometimes. But then she started forgetting small things. Her keys, her phone. Nothing serious, right? Except Laura never forgets anything. She's meticulous, organized to the point of obsession. When she laughed it off and said, "Guess I'm getting old," it sounded wrong, forced, like someone imitating how she used to laugh. Then she started zoning out more. In the middle of conversations, her eyes would glaze over, and I'd have to call her name 2-3 times before she responded. Sometimes she'd hesitate before speaking, like she had to search for the right words, or like she wasn't sure what Laura was supposed to say. I told myself she was just stressed. Work's been tough for both of us. Everyone goes through phases, but it kept happening. And the more it did, the more I felt it, that cold, crawling sense that something was off. Like the person I loved was still there, but somehow slipping away. And then came the night. I stopped pretending nothing was wrong. I woke up around 2 in the morning. The room was quiet. No noise, no movement. But I could feel something. You ever get that sense that someone's watching you? I turned my head. Laura was sitting upright on the edge of the bed, facing me, perfectly still. At first I thought she was asleep, but then I saw her eyes wide open, unblinking. Her face was empty, expressionless. "Laura," I mumbled. "What are you doing?" She didn't answer right away. When she finally did, her voice was flat, monotone, like someone reading lines from a script. "I'm waiting," she said. "Waiting for what?" She turned her head slowly toward me, her gaze locking onto mine. For the real you. I froze. For a second I thought she was joking. Then she stood up, turned, and walked out of the room without another word. I sat there for a long time, trying to convince myself it was sleepwalking. She'd never done that before, but it had to be something like that. The next morning, I brought it up over breakfast. "Do you remember getting up last night?" She looked at me for a moment, then smiled that same small, tight smile. "Nope," she said. "You must have been dreaming." And then she just went back to eating. That should have been the end of it. But the way she brushed it off, it didn't feel like her. It felt practiced. After that, things got stranger. I started catching her staring at me when she thought I wasn't looking, sometimes from across the room, sometimes from the hallway in the dark. When I'd ask what she was doing, she'd just smile faintly and say, "I'm just trying to see something." Then there was the notebook. One night, I woke up again around midnight. Her side of the bed was empty. I went looking for her, and as I passed the guest room, I saw the door cracked open, light spilling through. She was sitting on the floor cross-legged, her phone's flashlight shining on a small notebook. Her hair was messy, like she'd been tugging at it, and she was whispering to herself. "Laura," I said softly. She froze, then turned to look at me, face blank, eyes hollow. Without a word, she snapped the notebook shut and walked past me. Didn't even turn off the light. When she was gone, I picked it up. The pages were filled with messy handwriting lines like, "Ask questions. Wait until he slips. Check the reflection again." I didn't understand any of it, but one thing was clear, whatever she was writing, it wasn't meant for me to see. After that, she changed even more. She started asking strange questions. "Do you ever feel like you're not yourself? What if this isn't the life you're supposed to have?" She'd ask them like she genuinely wanted an answer, like she believed it. Then one night, I woke up again, and she was standing in the corner of the room, facing the wall. "Laura," I whispered. She didn't move. Then, in that same dead tone, she said, "Not yet. You're not ready." I couldn't breathe. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. She turned around, slowly climbed back into bed, and went to sleep, like nothing had happened. The next morning, I tried to talk about it, and she snapped. Said I was the one acting strange, that I was always watching her, questioning her, like she was the problem. That's when I started wondering if maybe it was me. Was I losing it? Was I seeing things that weren't there? I wish it had stopped there. But then I checked her phone, and what I found, I can't unsee. Her search history was filled with things like how to identify a doppelganger, signs of possession, when someone isn't who they say they are. I didn't know what to think anymore. Was she losing her mind? Or was I not who I thought I was? That question started eating me alive. A few nights later, I woke up again. This time, she wasn't sitting up or standing in the corner. She was right beside me, holding a small mirror to my face. Her whisper was trembling, desperate. "Why won't you show yourself? Why won't you show yourself?" I grabbed her wrist and yanked the mirror away. "What the hell are you doing?" Her expression twisted into something raw and terrified. "You're not him," she screamed. "You're not the man I married." I tried to calm her, but she backed away, shaking tears in her eyes. "He talks to me," she said, "in my dreams. He looks like you, but he's not you. He's trapped, and he says you're the one keeping him there." I stood there, speechless. Nothing she said made sense, but the look in her eyes, that pure bone-deep fear, it did something to me. That night she left the room, and I didn't follow, but I couldn't sleep. Her words kept looping in my mind. You're not him. The next morning, I tore through the house looking for answers. In the attic, I found an old box of her things, letters, photos, a journal from the early years of our marriage. At first, it was sweet. Notes about our first dates, little memories I'd forgotten. But as I read on, things got strange. There were detailed stories about events I couldn't remember. A trip to the beach where I got sunburned. A dinner party where I made everyone laugh. I don't remember any of it. And then one entry stopped me cold. Last night I woke up and saw him standing at the foot of the bed. He looked like my husband, but something was wrong. When he realized I was awake, he smiled at me, but it wasn't his smile. It felt hollow, like he was pretending to be human. When I read it, I felt something sink inside me, because somehow it felt familiar, like I'd lived that moment before. I showed her the journal the next morning, put it down in front of her and said, "Explain this." She flipped through the pages, stopped on that same entry, and pushed it toward me. Her voice trembled. That's the night I realized you weren't you. I tried to argue to make her see reason, but she just shook her head. Tears rolled down her cheeks. You don't remember, do you? Or maybe you do, and you just won't admit it. But I know what I saw. That wasn't you. She screamed when I reached for her. Don't touch me, she cried. I don't know what you are, but you're not him. She ran upstairs, slammed the door. I just stood there, frozen. Eventually I went to the bathroom. I don't even know why. Maybe I just needed to see myself, to prove I was still me. I stared into the mirror. Same eyes, same face, same tired expression. For a moment, I almost believed it. But then, I smiled. And it didn't look right. It was small at first, barely noticeable. But the longer I stared, the clearer it became. It wasn't my smile. And deep down, I think it never was. Maybe Laura was right. Maybe the man she loved really was gone, replaced by something that only looked like him. Or maybe she lost herself long before that night. We'll never know, will we? Because when you stare long enough into someone's eyes, searching for what's real, sometimes the thing staring back isn't them. Sometimes it's you. If you enjoyed tonight's story, leave the lights off a little longer. Think about who you're sharing your bed with. And if they ever whisper, you're not, you maybe don't argue. Thank you for listening. Sleep well, if you still can.